Welcome to another episode of One Idea Away, where we're committed to living more fully, deeply, and consciously. Why? Because when we do, we're calmer, we're clearer, we're more connected, more joyful, and much more alive. On this show, we bring you stories of those that are figuring it out just like us, as well as experts who can shed light on the hows and the whys all of this stuff works. So I want to thank you all for tuning in and sharing and reviewing our show. If you haven't done so yet, please drop us a review. Also, subscribe to the podcast on our feed, whether it's on iTunes or whatever app you happen to be using. And if there's something that stands out in the show, do us a favor. If it makes you think of somebody, share it along, because this show is meant to get the conversation started, not just to drop in for a little inspiration. So with that, let's turn to this week's episode. It's finally here. And today I get to announce and tell you about Uncover, a retreat to create the life of your dreams. Uncover is a 3-day retreat being hosted by One Idea Away. I'm going to be there leading and facilitating the retreat, along with IPEC founder and best-selling author Bruce Schneider. We've secured the beautiful Asilomar Conference Grounds in California, just a 90-minute ride from the Bay Area, for January 18th through the 20th. And then we're going to be at the Garrison Institute in New York, just 50 miles north of the city, sitting atop the bluffs of the Hudson River on March 29th through the 31st. In this retreat, we're going to guide you through the Uncover process. You can actually learn more about that in the book, Uncovering the Life of Your Dreams by Bruce Schneider. And you're going to learn and experience a variety of mindfulness activities, share and connect as a community, and learn through practices and dialogue in a supportive and, yes, judgment-free zone. You see, this is about closing the gap between who you know yourself to be and how you're currently showing up in life. You see, that gap is part of the tension that any of us can feel in our hearts and minds, because you know there's something more for you to experience, to enjoy, to share, and to contribute. You may feel as if who you are is covered up by your responsibilities and circumstances and priorities, and we don't want to see anyone lose any more years of their lives not being who they fully and truly are. It's time for that to end, and over these 3 days it will. You will uncover your personal path to happiness, freedom, and aligning with your true desires. I cannot wait to meet you in person. I can't wait to spend the time with you over these 3 days. It's going to be an extraordinary experience. Just go to oneideaaway.com/retreat. That's oneideaaway.com/retreat. I promise you, you will never forget this experience. Hello there, everyone, and welcome to this week's Riff. This week, we hear from One Idea Away community member, Gwen. She says, I want to be able to better shift my thoughts and energy whenever I get stuck or get really frustrated or upset at something in my life. I know that when I do shift, whatever it is that I'm going through never turns out to be as bad as I had made it out to be in that moment. But I can't see that until I find a way to let go of whatever was stressing me, whatever judgment I felt, whatever button got pushed. I want to be able to regain that perspective. And at the same time, I know in the moment, I feel like I want to be right, or at least indignant in some way to justify myself and my reaction. So how do I let it go? How do I move on? Gwen, I really appreciate that you're posing this question. I thank you for raising it for everybody. And also, I know that perhaps it's on your mind and the mind of others that the holidays are coming up, and sometimes we get those buttons pushed by our family and those that are closest to us. So perhaps now's a good time for us to be having this chat. So one of the first things that's really important to know is that our minds, our brains, can only focus on one thought at a time. And that thought has a way of kind of taking over all of our energy, all our emotions, and the resulting actions that come and flow through it. So the more that we're able to work with that particular thought, the more we're able to reframe it or refocus it, the more we're able to shift it, the ripple effect will then begin to set in. And so there's one particular thought and practice that's extremely effective and powerful at shifting our inner state. And that thought, that practice, is gratitude. Interesting time of the year to be addressing this, huh? See, gratitude, as Dr. Robert Emmons, the world's leading scientific expert on gratitude, says that gratitude reaffirms goodness, meaning what's good within our lives. And we begin to also recognize that the sources of this goodness usually come from outside of ourselves, meaning that when we focus on gratitude, we're specifically paying attention to things outside of ourselves that offer that goodness within our lives. It could be other people, it could be nature, it just could be the circumstances of life are unfolding in a way that serves us at this particular moment. So gratitude offers us the chance to see how we've been supported and affirmed by others. Well, when we do that, and when we bring gratitude into our mind, what happens is that our minds will quickly get redirected because that becomes the dominating thought of our mind at that moment. And then a few really great things begin to happen. You see, our hearts begin to expand. We begin to connect to everything from compassion to creativity. When we are more grateful and tapping into that appreciation, as it were, we tend to be more optimistic, which brings about more positivity. That's actually one of the things that creates or it gives us access to greater creativity because we have a more open mind to see the possibilities and to see what it is in front of us that really, truly we can appreciate. That actually has the benefit of usually increasing likability, meaning that we're more amiable, we're more friendly, we're more relational to the people that are around us when we come at things from this type of a state. It also means that we can find solutions usually a little bit easier because, again, we're more creative and our mind is open. All of this has a ripple effect even on us. We become more resilient. We actually sleep better. It reduces anxiety and the risk of depression. It strengthens relationships and the closeness that we feel within those relationships. It promotes forgiveness and compassion, and we're more inclined to pay it forward, meaning anything that we've received, anything that we've benefited from, we begin to feel like it's good for us to then pay that energy, that emotion, those benefits forward to others who need it. So this is interesting because to me, what this tells me is that gratefulness, being grateful within your life, is actually something that's really, really good for you. So what this tells me is that being grateful, having gratitude within our lives is actually something that serves us extremely well. It benefits us personally. So in a sense, I think that we should all be pretty selfish, meaning be selfish and be grateful. Because you're not only going to benefit, but it'll benefit those around you because of the way that you're going to show up. So, handful of things to think about this in the context of the question that Gwen wrote in with. Okay, so when we're going through a particular moment and we recognize that there's some challenge, some stress that happens to be coming up for us, we may even feel like we are stuck in that particular view of what's going on, and that we feel that must be what is, what's going on. This is why it's catastrophic. This is why it's paining me at this time, right? What we want to be able to do is a few things. Number one is to take a deep breath, meaning to be able to take that pause and to take that mindful moment, as it were, for ourselves so that we can collect ourselves. The next thing that we want to take a look at is asking ourselves, well, what is it that we can be grateful for in this moment? Now, it doesn't have to be particular in terms of what can I be grateful for about this situation. That's great, but let's try to work up to that maybe, all right? In the meantime, let's just start with, well, what is it that I can be grateful for? And ideally, you want to speak not in generalities. Find something specific that's maybe occurred for you that particular day or very recently, maybe something that someone has done for you, maybe a really just kind of wonderful, happy or peaceful or calm or beautiful moment that you experienced. It could be something as simple as somebody held the door open for you while you were going to your local coffee place and they even smiled. It could be something as simple as that. But begin to find that first specific moment that you're grateful for, and then see where that takes you, meaning see what else you can be grateful for and see how you can let some of that energy build. Now, the only way that you're going to allow it to build is to feel it genuinely. So this is not just a practice of, oh, well, fine, I guess I'm grateful for this. If we're not going to do that, that's not going to have any impact for you. This is really, truly about genuinely connecting to, yeah, you know what? I did feel quite a bit of gratitude for that individual doing this or being this or showing up for me in this way, or even just offering this or holding that door open, and connect to the feeling that is there within that particular moment of gratitude. What you're going to find is that it moves you not only into that space, but at the same time, it starts to de-escalate your own stress. It begins to interrupt your stress response because, again, the mind cannot hold two thoughts within the mind at the same time. And so You want to bring that into your mind, but then you also want to bring it into your body by really, truly feeling the genuine gratitude that's there. So as we do move into these holiday times, and perhaps we have a few of those relationships that could be stressors, unfortunately, we are social human beings, and that means that relationships can be one of the biggest stressors that is out there for any of us. And when we focus on gratitude, it has another effect for us a few different ways. Number one is that it helps us focus on the relationships around us and how can we grow and interact with those relationships. That at any given time, it's not about making a situation be exactly what we want. We don't need to argue to be right. Instead, we can focus on having gratitude, and we can focus on being open and remaining open for the sake of the relationship and for the sake of growing or changing or shifting or evolving the particular relationship that's in front of you. So at any given time, when we come from this place of gratitude, it gives us a chance to ask questions such as, how can I engage in a way that brings more happiness or more peace or more joy or more freedom or more connection or more compassion for all of us? So instead of escalating the stress or the tension or the argument, the situation that happens to be there, we pause, we genuinely connect to that gratitude, and we begin to consider, how can I engage in a way that brings this gratitude, that brings this happiness forward more and more into my life? Now, there's a lot of great gratitude practices that you can take a look at and learn about online. It's easy to look up. But the couple that I'm going to throw out there to you are a few things. One that's just been a wonderful mainstay that we've taught through our Institute for Professional Excellence in Coaching, the Coach Training School, that One Idea OIA was started out of. We've taught this idea of the best three things. And it's one of those just wonderful, wonderful practices. And it really is at the very end of your day to consider, what were the best three things that happened to you that particular day? Now, the more advanced that you get, what this means is you're going to start looking at your days. And you're going to start looking at all the different activities and the experiences that you have, considering, well, I wonder if this is one of the best things that happened to me today. And then you're going to come up with maybe a list of 4 or 5 or 6 really wonderful things that occurred on a given day. And you're still going to ask, well, what were the best 3 things? So it has us do what Rick Hansen refers to as take in the good. It has us reflect on the goodness, the things that really truly are wonderful within our lives. And very often they're occurring all the time, even in the smallest of ways. But we need to pay attention to them. And the best 3 things, recalling the best 3 things from your day, is a wonderful place to start. The second thing that I would offer to you is to practice thankfulness. That's right, to practice thankfulness, to genuinely be thankful to those that are around you and those that you interact with, to thank them for anything that you genuinely feel and can recognize and acknowledge and notice that they have done for you in some small way. And maybe they didn't even do it for you. Maybe they did it for somebody else. And you saw that person hold the door open for somebody else. And that other person maybe didn't say thank you. Maybe you say thank you for them. Or even if they did, maybe you say, hey, thanks for doing that. It gives you the chance to pay it forward, to be thankful for others. And it may just bring a smile to their face, which is going to make their day better. And maybe they pay that forward as well. The last thing, and this is a little bit bigger of a practice and might be a good thing to do before you sit down with family for the holidays, is to write a letter of gratitude. You see, before the holidays, before that family member, that loved one has the chance to push one of your buttons, maybe you take some time to reflect. And maybe you write a letter of gratitude about a particular individual or your family as a whole. You don't need to even send it to them, but you're certainly more than welcome to, and more than welcome to share it with them. But to be able to fully express the gratitude that you have for the family that's around you, for the people you interact with, and even those that challenge you, is something that can really truly fill our hearts at this time of year. And you may just be surprised at how it changes your experience spending time with them throughout the entire holiday season. So today, consider how you can connect to that gratitude and how it is that you're able to pay it forward. The more and more that we do this, the more and more that we focus and connect to the feelings of gratitude, the easier it is for us to be able to shift out of those moments of stress and out of those moments that pull us away from who we really truly are. Once we move back into the space of who we are and have more of that gratitude, have more of that connection and creativity and compassion and all those wonderful benefits, then it's usually much easier for us to navigate through whatever the stress is, whatever the situation is that happens to be unfolding within our lives. So I offer this to you. And as always, I am thankful for you being here, being part of One Idea Away, for tuning into these riffs, for submitting your own questions as well as insights as to what you would like to hear on the riff, as well as on the other interviews that we do here at One Idea Away. I want to thank you for being here. I wish you a wonderful, wonderful holiday and holiday season. And until next time, much love. Be well. Hey, as this episode is wrapping up, you may be asking yourself, what's next? Well, what's next? I hope that you've been joining in on the monthly live cast that we do for the One Idea Away community. You see, every single month, we gather some incredible guests that are talking about the types of transitions that they've made or are even in the midst of making to create a happier life, to create a life that's more aligned to who they truly are. So we're talking about happiness and purpose. We're talking about community. We're talking about how do we have that modern day success, meaning how do we succeed in our happiness, our well-being, our quality of life, while also making a great living, making the difference in the contributions that we are each meant to make. So when you get involved in the monthly live cast, you can ask some questions of our guests. You can participate with some of the other community members and the ongoing chat that just seems to explode as we get into these deeper conversations throughout the whole hour that we do this. So the only way, though, that you can get these special episodes is when you register for them. It is free, but you got to register to get involved and continue the conversation as we're always talking about. So just hop on over to oneideaaway.com/livecast and to oneideaaway.com/livecast. Join us there, get involved in the conversation, get involved in the community. I can't wait to continue the conversation with you. Thanks for listening to today's episode. If you really enjoyed it, do me a favor, let us know. You can keep the conversation going and send us a message on our Facebook page, which is simply One Idea Away. Go ahead and tag me in the post or even just direct messages. Also, I would be incredibly grateful if you could share this episode along with someone that you believe could benefit from hearing the ideas and the messages that we got into. That's pretty much why we do this. So you can just go ahead and share it from your app or email it along, whatever works for you. The point is to share, to talk, to discuss, and keep the dialogue going, because it's in those conversations that ideas can take hold and create profound shifts in perspective. That's what allows us to live life more fully, deeply, and consciously. As always, we would love to see you post a review for the podcast in iTunes or whichever app you're using. And until next time, remember, you're never more than one idea away from a whole new reality. This is Luke Iorio and One Idea Away, signing off.